All right, I should have that recording going now. Welcome you all to our first chapter presidents and advisors meeting for 2025. If you're just joining, please introduce yourself and your chapter in the chat. As Michelle mentioned, if you are a new chapter president or if you're a returning chapter president, let us know where you are in your leadership journey with the chapter as you introduce yourself. It's great to have so many new faces in the room with us today. We will be sharing the recording and the slides post meeting, usually by mid-afternoon or so. I'm able to get these up on our website to share for those that might have missed it in person. And Hannah's already dropped that link in the chat. So we have quite a lot to cover today, and I'm not going to take any more time and let Michelle let you kick it off and welcome everybody.
Okay, welcome everyone to a new year, and for those of you who are new to your leadership positions within the chapter, welcome to you all also. We hold these chapter presidents and advisor meetings monthly. This is our opportunity to provide even more information and what's coming up with the program and communicating important, pertinent information to you so that you can help in getting the information out to your chapter members as well in the upcoming months. So, we see this as a very important part of our time with you with the presidents and advisors meeting each month. So, and going on from the slides that's in front of me, chapter presidents and advisors meetings, again, we'll have those each month. We'll go over a little bit later, kind of the schedule for this week. And as a reminder, the contact list for how we invited you to these meetings came from VMS. And what we tried to do with this first month and then even the next couple months in the new year is pull the list from VMS that have been updated, but also copying your past presidents from 2025 too. So in hopes that the past presidents from 2024 can help get the correct information to the correct people for the new year if your information hasn't been updated in VMS yet. These meetings typically go for about an hour. We try very hard to keep them at 1 hour to be respectful of your time. We'll tend to send out a monthly reminder about these meetings and with the links to join. And then as another reminder, we've been telling you about this as you've been getting on, but these meetings are recorded. They will be available after the meeting, typically by the next day. If there is a volunteer willing to take notes, then notes are provided. And then we also try to provide the slides after the meeting as a PDF as well. And those will be posted on our Naturalist news page. Some of the other things is if there are follow-up items, we'll send out post meeting information. If there's additional information that's needed that wasn't covered as well during the meeting. And then the meeting, like we said, these typically run for about an hour. Sometimes they do run longer, so you can count on at least around an hour to 2 hours for these meetings each month. So, but typically we tend to stay closer to the 1 hour mark. All right. Next slide. Okay, we have, this is our list. We've been sending this list out to you in our communications with you so far. All of our meeting dates for 2025 are planned. At least our meeting dates with you are planned for the upcoming year, all the way through December. We have typical, the front end of the year is loaded with typical presidents meetings, presidents and advisors meetings specifically with you. And then as we get towards the end of the year, our meetings tend to be joint meetings through October, November, and December that are joint with our TMN Tuesday events. So we try to bring a little information plus some advanced training as crossover events for those October, November, and December meetings. Okay. So in the new year, we wanted to catch up with you. One of the important things is catching up with you and seeing how your leadership transition is going. Many chapters, successful chapters, plan and hold a board retreat at the beginning of every year. I know many chapters have done that already. Some of those have, some other chapters have theirs coming up. If you want to drop information in the chat, has your chapter had its board retreat already? Or if you haven't had it already, when are you planning to hold one? During the board retreats, all chapters go through top goals for the year. So if you have some specific new top goals for your chapter that you've already talked about for the year, drop those in the chat and let us know what you're thinking about too. Another highlight for this January season and New Year season is just the leadership transition in general. How is that going? Has information been passed on from the previous person in your various positions on down to the new incoming people who are taking them over? So that information transition helps with the success of the chapter. So we want no one to start from scratch because we know the program's 25 years old now. It's been done before. So we can only improve every year based on information that's shared.
There's some great answers in the chat about folks that have already had retreats or folks that are looking forward to retreats within the next couple weeks. Some of our chapters are beginning to plan their celebrations for their anniversaries. We can talk about that in just a little bit. Planning on getting a good VMS team together. We'll also talk about some of those updates to VMS later in today's presentation. And then I've lost track because all the chat's coming in now fast. But it looks like there's lots of project planning, transition planning, anniversary planning, event planning for the new year for these chapters.
Okay, we've been stressing the leadership transition pretty hard these past couple slides and in the start of this meeting. It's really important that your chapters are updating your board, your leadership positions, and then advisor contacts in VMS. Update that with your new and changing officers for the 2025 year. All of our Master Naturalist chapters have their annual year. Their year starts with at January 1, so we run on the calendar year. So just a reminder to update all your new and changing officers, move all historical titles. So anyone who served in a position, leadership position at your chapter last year, all of that information can be tracked in the history box in VMS. And then fortunately or unfortunately, you will need the assistance of your VMS administrator to help complete these two tasks. So just know if you go into VMS and try to do it yourself, it is an action that your VMS administrators will need to complete or assist you with completing. And then a last reminder kind of on your leadership transition for the year. All new chapter directors, officers need to sign the board conflict of interest form if they haven't already. So if on the board previously, you probably signed this already, and that is fine. It's good to go if you have signed it already. But this is a good time. The beginning of the year is always a good time to go through and check all of your officers and leadership positions for the year and make sure that you do have a conflict of interest form on file that's been signed.
Oh, sorry, answer in chat. I'm moving along. Keep going, Michelle.
Okay, so many of the questions, a lot of what we're covering with you today is kind of the FAQs we get at the beginning of the year, especially with new leaders and chapters. And a lot of the things that we frequently asked questions that are asked at the beginning of the year. So we try to cover all these in the first meeting of the year with you because there's a lot of information and there's a lot to digest as a new leader for your chapter. So last year we had Hannah has now been on with us for a year, and so we were able to, with the hiring of Hannah, we were able to separate some duties out a little bit more, and just have more people to spread all the tasks across with the program. So first and foremost, we really put a lot of time and effort into our website and try to have that as the one-stop shop for all the information about the program. All your frequently asked questions, we try to get as much information on our website that we can, so that the three of us at the state level aren't a bottleneck of receiving information for you. So if you have a question that you don't know the answer to, we ask that you please try to go to the website first and find the topic. The search bar really is, the search function in the website is pretty good. So if you have a topic that you can't find it by gleaning through the website, you can use the search function to find some keywords and help you narrow in a little further. After that, if there's questions that still can't be answered from the website by viewing or visiting the website, myself and Mary Pearl, we kind of take lead on chapter management issues, discipline, action, and incident reports, and then any advanced policy question that isn't addressed already. Hannah is your go-to person for chapter training resources, our Master Naturalist brand and logo questions, and trademark. And then she's our chapter to state office liaison communications person. So questions from chapters would go through her on anything else. Our VMS help desk is there also for requests for new accounts and training information, though we don't have many new chapters right now. So new accounts won't be an excessive, exhaustive need, but training, especially with the new year, there's people coming in that may be new to their role, especially with VMS. Training is opened up and being offered again. Reporting, and then we have a help desk that's all there. So there's further questions on VMS that can't be answered through some of the printed material that's at the help desk. You can submit a ticket and for further assistance. AgriLife First Call is if you have a chapter website issue. This is kind of the IT support for the website, and the WordPress that your chapter uses to develop your chapter's website. And then Hannah Thornton is our student aide, who is the lead on our Pollinators for Texas project right now. So, and we'll go over some of these things a little more in detail.
Absolutely. There's a question from the previous slide, Michelle, before we move on the COIs, clarifying if they need to be signed every year or as a member joins the board for the first time.
So you need to have one on file. So your chapters need to have one on file. If it's been signed previously, if you are a leadership position and you've previously signed it, just make sure it's on file. Even if you signed it in 2023, your chapter needs to make sure you have one on file for you. So technically, no, it does not have to be re-signed every year, but your chapter should do its due diligence in making sure that it is on file and signed at your local chapter level each year.
Perfect. Thank you.
Okay, in our contacts, we mentioned the different people in our areas that we work in and are responsible for communicating on. And then here is our contacts for you too.
All right, moving into our 2025 planning. We've got quite a busy year as always for the Master Naturalist program, as y'all do too. Some of the updates that we're going to happen at the state level with input from you as chapter leaders. We are entering into our third year of our triennial review of our TMN state governing documents. These governing documents that you see on the screen here are what keep our program running. at the state level, and then at your chapter levels, our chapter bylaws and our state bylaws and our chapter management and operating protocols that we have, and our chapter operating handbook template that's provided for each of our chapters. We entered into a 3-year review process with those over the last several years, and we are on year 3 in 2025. As part of that process, we have been collecting comments and feedback through our website, through a form. It's linked there, and Hannah has also provided the QR code as well as the link in the chat for you. Our request for you as chapter leaders this year is to continue to engage with that form, collect and review the guiding documents, and collect and submit that feedback for each of those 3 documents in that form process by April of this year. In order to allow us the summer of 2025 to review all of those feedback and edits, compile them, and then present an updated set of documents in the fall of 2025 for those new guiding documents to begin in the spring, in January of 2026. We'll also be sending out a reminder on this so that y'all have these direct links in your inbox as well. Sorry, I'm seeing some questions in the chat and it got me distracted. Are these chapter level documents? So our state bylaws are adopted by each. I went back 1 slide here. These are the state bylaws are adopted by each of our chapters. So our bylaws are standard statewide with 2 exceptions if your chapter is a 501c3 or not. And if your chapter operates on a 12-month or a 24-month cycle with leadership. So those are the 2 distinguishing options in the set of bylaws that your chapter adopts. But our CMOP, our chapter management and operations protocols document, is statewide. It is a chapter level document, but it is a statewide established document that all chapters operate off of. And then our chapter operating handbook is, we provide a template that meets the guiding documents requirements. It matches and meets the needs of the bylaws and the CMOP and can be updated and modified to meet the local chapter's needs within certain areas. Michelle, did I cover that appropriately? Answer those questions?
Yep.
Some of the other documents that are on the slate for our 2025 guiding documents review are brand guide. Hannah Ferguson has been hard at work updating our brand guide to refresh this document, to provide additional resources and guidelines for all of our chapters and our program in its entirety in use of the title Texas Master Naturalist, the logo, the trademark mark for our program, and other ways that your chapter can engage with marketing our program. So we're hoping that that will be released here early this year. And then also on the docket for review and update is our guidance for citizen science volunteer service hours. While a mouthful, that document is vitally important for our chapters that are engaging in citizen and community science and giving them guidance on logging their volunteer service hours. That will be updated before the summer.
Just one note on that. We had a question coming the other day. If it's updated this summer, will it go? Will the updates go into effect this summer? And the intention is no. All of our documents will be updated over the summer, leading up to and over the summer, but they won't go into effect until January 1, 2026. So everything that we're operating under right now is what we're operating under for the rest of 2025. So nothing's going to change mid-year. Our bylaws are our bylaws for this year. Our chapter management and operating protocols, CMOP, are what we're using for this year. Nothing's going to change mid-year.
And then a note on that for the brand guide, I dropped a link into the chat where you can find the current brand guide, and that's also the page where the future brand guide will be posted once we have it ready, and that will change once it's posted. So once the new brand guide is posted, those rules will go into effect for chapter use of the logo.
Perfect. Thank you so much, Hannah. All right, one more update from me, and then I'm going to pass it back over to Michelle. Some other state level projects that we're working on is our update for our curriculum. If you have been a president in the past year, you've heard about this, or if you're coming in, hopefully your leadership has let you know that we are working on updating our statewide curriculum. Our book has been in existence now for 10 years. Our published text has been in existence for 10 years, and so it's time for us to do a deep review and an update for that book. It is a multi-year project. A book that is 763 pages in length like this one does require multiple years for us to really thoroughly do an update to it correctly. So we wanted to be transparent and tell you guys early and often that we are in that review process, and we will share updates on a timeline once those get firmed up with the A&M Press. We have received feedback from chapters on updates and edits, and so we thank you for that. There is a survey out there still. If you do find a misspelling or an error, we gladly take that. I think that's linked on our website. If not, I'm happy to share that again. And then secondarily to that, we did have a restock order in for our warehouse for the current edition books in the warehouse. Those were delayed by some shipping, but they should be on their way and should arrive mid-February. So if you're still seeking books for your spring training class, those books should arrive at the A&M Press warehouse in College Station mid-February. Pre-orders are available for those right now.
And before you move from the slide, so there were some questions about updating the documents in this year and if chapters and volunteers would have input into that. So the form that we described on the website for where you submit your feedback, that is the form that will be used for all of the feedback that should be considered. So if Shelley, to answer your question, if you have input and feedback you'd like to give about the citizen science guidelines, that form that we mentioned, that's where you give that.
Yeah, I think Hannah dropped it in
That
the
is the
chat
case
earlier.
for all of our documents.
I think Hannah dropped it in the chat earlier, but if not, I'm sure she can find that link and drop it in the chat for us so that you have that handy as well. Thank you for clarifying that. All right, Michelle, you want to cover pins?
So a couple years ago, we moved our PIN recertification and milestone PIN ordering process. We updated that process for pins that certificates, recertification pins, and milestone pins under 4,000 hours. All of those are ordered through the AgriLife Learn website. I think we've got all of our chapters entitled now. And so everybody should be able to order through there for anything under 4,000 hours. For anything 4,000 hours milestones, 4,000 hours and above, and we actually go to 30,000 hours now for milestones. You would order through me through a form on our website, and that form is there. And so anything, so 4,000, 5,000, 10,000 hour pins, 15 and 20,000 hours, and then 1,000 hour pins are all ordered through that process. Just a note on the Presidential Volunteer Service Awards. So when our Master Naturalists reach that 4,000 hour service milestone, they get two things from the program. One is the Master Naturalist 4,000 hour dragonfly pin with the ruby in the center. And then the other thing they get at that milestone is the Presidential Volunteer Service Award. All of the Presidential Volunteer Service Awards have been on back order for a little while, and this happens every year, and when they do, they never have an ETA on when things would be ready to be fulfilled. So this is affecting any orders of 4,000 hour PVSA pins from November to date. So just to let you know that those are on back order. I do have everybody that has ordered on a list and just waiting for everything to be back in stock. So I'll keep watching and let you know when they come in.
This is just a quick screenshot of what you see when your chapter is entitled to be able to order the recertification pins on the website. And then Michelle?
If you weren't at our Master Naturalist annual meeting in October, that is where we announce the next year's recertification pin each year. And so this year, the 2025 recertification pin is the Greater Roadrunner. We had a great presentation by Tanya Homian at our annual meeting, and she will be our featured speaker for our February TMN Tuesday. We'll get to learn even more information about the Greater Roadrunner than you ever could imagine. So I'm excited. It's the first bird we've had in a while. So exciting. And it's fun to see what each year's new pin is every year. So, and just a reminder that these are recertification pins. So members, in order to have obtained this pin for this year, members need to have been certified previously.
And orders will be available starting February 1st on the website. All right, Hannah, you want to tell us all about your plans for TMN Tuesdays this year?
Yes. So as Michelle just touched on, we are still doing our monthly TMN Tuesday webinars. It is the second Tuesday of every month at 12 p.m. Central Time, unless otherwise noted. And as you can see on the calendar, those are indicated by little asterisks and saying that this is not a second Tuesday. These typically last just an hour, again, keeping in mind your time, but sometimes they go a little bit longer depending on what the topic and who the speakers are. You can watch these either live or recorded. The recordings will be posted to our TMN Tuesday website. You can use the QR code or the link I just put in the chat to find that. That's also where you can register for your TMN Tuesday meetings. We announce the speakers and the topics monthly, and this is eligible for advanced training, and we go over all of that during the TMN Tuesdays, all the details for that. And we have something fun going on this year where October's TMN Tuesday is going to be live from the annual meeting. The date and time is TBD because we don't have that full schedule yet, but just get excited to see those announcements as they come out because that will be a very fun event. And if you missed January's TMN Tuesday, don't worry, that recording is already on the website. Again, on that TMN Tuesday page, there were some things we discussed in that meeting that we aren't covering today. So if you want to just get a big highlight of the state of the program, that's a good one to watch. And that's also where February's will be posted. And speaking of February, as Michelle mentioned, don't forget to join us on February 11th at 12 p.m. Central Time. And we're going to learn all about the Greater Roadrunner. If you were there at the annual meeting, then you know that this is going to be a fantastic TMN Tuesday because it was just a very great presentation. So if you had any members who weren't there and are saying, no, I don't know if I'm going to go to this one, tell them they need to go because it'll be a great presentation. And they can register, as I said, on that TMN Tuesday webpage. And then these are just some frequently asked questions about TMN Tuesdays. Yes, they're available for AT. No, you don't have to be a Master Naturalist member to attend. They're open to the public. So if you just have some friends who aren't directly involved with the program, but this is a topic they might find interesting, feel free to share those meetings with them. Will they be recorded? Yes, and they're posted on the website within the week usually. Do you need to register each month? No, you can register all in one go. The link is at the top of the page, and also for each month we add it under the icon, and you can click that link and it shows you the option to register for just one or two or the option to register for all of them. And how long after you watch a TMN Tuesday can you log your AT hours? You have to stay within that 45-day rule. So 45 days after each event, you have to log those AT hours.
Yeah, and that first question, just clarifying, because it comes up quite often at the beginning of the calendar year. Can you watch 2024's TMN Tuesdays and count them for advanced training? What's the answer there, Hannah?
The answer is no. That was a past calendar year. And so we are only allowing you to do AT for the current calendar year. So these 2025 meetings, those 2024 and other past years for TMN Tuesdays are still available to view. They're at the very bottom of the TMN Tuesday page. You'll see a big calendar. Click on the picture that you want to watch, and it'll take you to that YouTube video, but that won't be counted towards AT hours. Only the 2025 meetings will be counted towards AT.
Excellent. Thank you.
And then on the last thing for TMN Tuesday is what's something that you want to hear? I know I've had a couple emails come in of people saying, oh, this was great at the annual meeting. That'd be a great TMN Tuesday. If you have a suggestion as well, feel free to send it one of our way or all of our ways via email, and just let us know people that you've had present at your chapter meetings or that you saw present at the annual meeting that you just really love their presentation. I think they'd be a good fit for a TMN Tuesday. We also
hold on one second. I wanted to mention our for the presidents and advisors on for the January TMN Tuesday, we gave a state of the program, a kind of address, state of the program, update and information. And I encourage you to go back and view that if you view the recording if you didn't attend it in person or live that day. There is a lot of information that we covered in that event that we are not specifically not covering it today, so as to not do double duty. Just continue to be respectful of your time.
Yes. And then we also have a form on our website for you to input your 2025 volunteer training class info. So that way, if someone who is interested in joining our program but isn't quite sure what chapter they need to go to, where they need to go, we have that information for them on a one-stop shop that then links back to your chapter websites. And so you can see, you can find that on our homepage, a direct link to it, or use that link that you see there. I have a QR code on the next page as well. And as you can see, we also have 27 chapters who have filled out the form and have training classes starting in January or later. So if you know you have one starting soon or later this year and you don't see a star on your chapter's county or counties, go ahead and fill out that form. It's that QR code right there, and I'll drop the link in the chat as well. But this is just a great way, like I said, for if someone's wanting to join the program and not exactly sure where to go yet, kind of a one-stop shop where they can find that general information. We also have a lot of chapters celebrating their anniversaries this year. So for a 10th anniversary, we have the South Texas Border chapter, 15th anniversary, Central Texas, Goodwater, Indian Trail, and Pineywood Lakes chapters. 20th anniversary, Brazos Valley, Gideon, Lincecum, Heartwood, Red River, Rio Brazos, and Tierra Grande chapter. And then 25th anniversary, East Texas, Lindheimer, Lost Pines, and Mid Coast. That is 16 chapters that are celebrating anniversaries this year. So let us know, drop it in the chat what you're wanting, what you're going to do to celebrate those anniversaries, how it's going to go, what you're going to do. Connect with other chapters who celebrated some last year and years prior, see what they did, how they celebrated, and just let us know how you're going to celebrate the greatest organization that you've ever been a part of.
No pressure. No pressure.
No pressure. None at all.
So, all right, I'm going to keep moving us along as we're getting ready for some more programs that are rolling out in 2025. This one started and kicked off in 2024, but we're excited to see the action happen for our Pollinators for Texas partnership program. This is an opportunity that that we're partnering with ATB, their Our Texas, Our Future foundation to support our master naturalist projects, putting pollinator conservation, habitat management, and citizen engagement for pollinators on the ground. And so we are giving you, as chapter presidents, a little bit of a sneak preview. Many of you who have applied and been awarded have already heard but we will be making an official press release and announcement of the entirety of the list early next week. But we just couldn't help ourselves to share all of our excitement about all of these projects that have been awarded. So, little drum roll, and our project awards for our Pollinators for Texas program go to these 16 chapters here. And I'm not going to read the whole list here because there's some really phenomenal projects, and I'll start to get all emotional and excited about it. But we are just so appreciative of the support from HEB, all of the work that Hannah Thornton, our program aide for this project, has put together to make this opportunity happen. And then to you, our chapters, who submitted a multi-page application, went through the process of identifying these pollinator projects in your communities to be able to enhance, and then worked through the process to apply for this project. We can't wait to see what y'all do with these funds, these project award funds, and look forward to seeing some of the pictures out there. If you are one of these chapters, there is a resource page. Hannah Thornton has hopefully been in, I know, has been in thorough contact with you, has provided additional resources for your chapters, but all of that will live on our Pollinators for Texas website page. And she has shared that, and will be continuously updating that page as well. As mentioned, the awards and the press news release that we're working on to announce these chapters and these final awards will be going out sometime next week, but we just couldn't help ourselves to share with that today. And last but not least, one of the most common questions is which Hannah? And we have two Hannahs. So we have a Hannah F and we have a Hannah T. But if you have to eliminate the Hannah issue, if you have any questions about the Pollinators for Texas, we created a standalone email account that just goes to Hannah Thornton, helps her to focus all of those questions into one spot. So you don't have to worry about which Hannah you're sending it to. It's going to the right spot if you send an email with a question to TMN Pollinators for Texas at ag.tmu.edu.
But if you did send a question to this Hannah, don't worry, it gets forwarded to the correct Hannah. So it got into the right hands.
The Hannahs talk. They do talk. And then last but not least, we are just, again, so appreciative for HEB and their support. And they were just so blown away by the sheer magnitude of the projects that your chapters are doing out there, with or without their funding. And so they are immensely interested in continuing this project. And so stay tuned. We're looking forward to more information about future projects in the future. Michelle, do you want to say anything about some of these awards? The sheer excitement of getting to read through all of these applications.
Yeah, we weren't judges, but we did our excitement of being able to see what Master Naturalists submitted. Just everybody, not just those that are on the screen now, all of the projects were pretty amazing and exciting. So I believe that all of our chapters are going to go through with their projects, regardless of whether they were funded or not, through this opportunity. So that's the real exciting thing. It's just the sheer volume that chapter working in this area.
Awesome. And while you're on that, you want to talk to us about what our spring is going to look like.
Yeah, we've been sharing with you plans and calendars and things all afternoon so far. April, just to give you a heads up, April's really busy, so brace for it now. April is a celebration of many things. It's National Volunteer Recognition Month, all month long. We are having our Master Naturalist Virtual Volunteer Fair in April, and more information will be coming out about that soon. It is one of our TMN Tuesday events, so be checking the TMN Tuesday page for that and more information as it gets posted. And then April 26th is the week of April 20th through the 26th is National Volunteer Week. April 22nd is Earth Day. April 25th through the 28th is City Nature Challenge. And then the identification period for City Nature Challenge happens shortly thereafter. So there's a lot going on. Chapters, the weather's really nice, typically very nice during this time of year. So chapters are out busy doing projects, more so than ever. And on top of that, it's a celebration of you and our volunteers for the month too. So lots going on. There will be more communication about all the events. A lot of this involves your chapters and ways your chapter can capitalize on Volunteer Recognition Month and Week in communicating what you do and the difference you're making in your communities. So we'll be sharing more information about that as it gets closer. I mentioned April 8th is our virtual volunteer fair. Again, it's a TMN Tuesday that we're going to hold the virtual volunteer on. More details to come, but for you and your help as chapter leaders and within your communities right now, when the information is available, we will begin accepting proposals for virtual and distance-based service projects that have a statewide focus and can use volunteers that can be done anywhere in the state by volunteers from a virtual and at a distance. So we need your help in sharing the call for proposals with your community partners and people who you may know, organizations who you may know that may need virtual volunteers. And then, so that's our first request, is for you to help share that call for proposals. And then the second request is to save the date, communicate with your members that this is taking place, and register to attend the virtual volunteer fair and participate in some of those projects. So we've been holding this event since the pandemic, and what it's turned into is these virtual projects are coming really handy during the hottest months of the year. So a lot of our volunteers are able to still collect volunteer service hours while working on virtual projects from the comfort of their indoors home, air-conditioned home during the hot summer months. And then the other thing is that it also helps and enables volunteers who may have mobility issues or may be having an upcoming surgery that may limit their mobility or something like that, where they can do something from home in a virtual environment and still be able to be part of the program and get certified.
Yep. And then last but not least, as we wrap out our 2025, we are already beginning planning on our 2025 annual meeting. We will be in College Station, Texas. Please go ahead and put those dates on your calendar now. October 16th through the 19th, 2025. As we begin to build the agenda and build the program for the annual meeting, we'll be sharing more information with you, our chapter presidents, with our membership. We'll be updating the website that Hannah just dropped into the chat. And so there is a lot more to come with our 2025 annual meeting. We're all really excited about it. But just wanted to make sure as you're planning your fall training classes, your chapter meetings, program events for the fall, please consider avoiding that weekend or that week so that your chapter members can make travel plans to attend the annual conference. All right, now moving into chapter resources. Hannah, I'm going to let you tell us about the kitchen sink.
Yes, we like to refer to our website as the kitchen sink, where you can find basically all the information you need to know about the program. If you have a question, the answer is likely on the website. So make sure that you go there first. As you know, we have the Naturalist News page where this will be where this recording will be posted, as well as other things are posted. We have the email listserv, which I'm going to drop that link in the chat. That is the best way to stay up to date on all things Master Naturalist. It's one of the first places where we send out information. So information about the annual meeting, about virtual volunteer fair, about the upcoming TMN Tuesdays. That is where you're going to hear about it first. So make sure that you're signed up for it. Also make sure to share that with your chapter members so they know to sign up for it. So they're also getting that information through the email listserv. Also have some other quick links with the VMS help desk, and as we mentioned, that chapter document page. And a newer page as of last year is our chapter templates and resources. There was a question about that in the chat earlier. The password was sent out to past presidents, but I haven't sent it out again to current presidents because I've been waiting for y'all to make sure you get your information into VMS, because that's what I'll use to get your contact information. But a new password is going to be sent out for the 2025 calendar year. I plan to do it probably by the end of this week. So if you have not updated your information in VMS yet, I recommend you go do that now. And that will be how you get access to this page. It has Canva templates and other resources like PowerPoint templates, QR codes pre-made that go to your chapter website, things like that are available for you to use for your chapter. If you have any suggestions or requests, feel free to email those to me. That doesn't guarantee that it will be made and then added to the page, but it's good to know what chapters are looking to have developed for their use. So if you want the current password to go ahead and get in before the new password is released, feel free to email me. But just know that the password will be changing probably the end of this week. And Michelle, was this you or is this me?
I can take it.
Okay.
So reminders that we have for you as in the new year. This is something common that we typically need to cover every year. We did cover it in the TMN Tuesday, but it is important. It is so important that I want to cover it again now. So using the Master Naturalist title, we've been talking a lot about our logo and our trademark and policies that revolve around that. So our logo, our words, our title, our everything is trademarked by the program, by our state agencies. So we need to protect that. We need to protect the reputation of the program. And these few bullet points are how many of the ways we do that. So the Texas Master Naturalist title, your chapter name, and your program or chapter membership should never be used in connection with advocacy or to invoke policy. Never, never. The TMN title and certification should never be used for personal gain or profit. Remember that the logo and title are trademarks. Chapters and members through their chapters must seek state office approval when adding them to chapter t-shirts, chapter merchandise, and chapter and project flyers. So this is, I saw a lot of chatter about new t-shirts or design t-shirts for certain anniversaries or events your chapter is doing in the chat. Those all need to be approved through Hannah at our state office. So reach out to her with questions. And I think we have another slide on this coming up too. Public comment, something we saw some of last year, so it needs to be reiterated. Master Naturalists should never provide public comment as Master Naturalist. That is what you do as a private citizen. So your Master Naturalist title should never be associated with public comments. And all of this is covered in our Master Naturalist documents, our guiding documents. This policy is not new. It has been the policy since the beginning of the program. So we are very serious about this. And you want to cover the logo, Hannah?
Yes. So as we kind of touched on, those need to come through me because our logo is trademarked. And so any use of the logo on merchandise must be approved by us at the state office. So go ahead and send those to me. Make sure you give yourself at least a week or two of lead time for that, because as you could imagine, I do get a lot of emails, and so it may take me a little bit to respond to you. So kind of factor that into your planning for all of these events. But just keep in mind that one of the reasons we do this is, one, it is a trademark. And we own the rights to that trademark, so we're allowing you to use it, but that comes with stipulations. And then also cohesive branding across our chapters is very important. We're a very big state. We have a lot of chapters, and so making sure that the public knows who Texas Master Naturalist is when they see that dragonfly and that text is very important. So that's one of the reasons why we're really emphasizing this, and it will be emphasized even more in the upcoming brand guide once it's released. And then just another thing to keep in mind is chapter logos are prohibited. So that is having a different icon and a different picture with your chapter name and Texas Master Naturalist. That would be a chapter logo. Those are prohibited, but chapter marks are allowed. And you can see examples there of the approved chapter marks. If you need help creating one of those, email me. I also have a form on the chapter resources page where you can fill out a request for a chapter mark. And those are the 3 options that you have. And then I can make those and then send them back to you for your use.
Perfect. Some tech resources as you are engaging in promoting and marketing your chapter. Our chapters have the option to use the WordPress template that is provided by AgriLife Extension. And there are monthly WordPress trainings that AgriLife hosts as a way to continue your education on WordPress, answer questions, get tips and tricks, or troubleshoot any issues that you may have. You're always welcome to email first call with an immediate need, but you can also hold those requests for Dagna Gonzalez, who hosts these Tech Tuesday trainings. These are hosted on the first Tuesday of the month from 12 to 12:45 p.m. I have emailed that link out to all webmasters, and if you ever need to share that link or want a copy of that link, please just email me and I'm happy to reshare that with you. Here are the list of the first Tuesdays of the month.
Another resource we provide for our chapters is our regional WebEx accounts. Many of you have been using these since we initiated them in 2020. These are still available. We have Region 1. So on the picture here, just explaining what you're seeing. So Region 1 and 3 share a WebEx account. Region 2 and 5 share a WebEx account, and then Region 4 and 6 share a WebEx account. So all of our state meetings are held on our Texas Master Naturalist state WebEx account. Like this is one that you're attending today. This is actually set up as a meeting in WebEx, and on the state account, we have webinar availabilities with that account too. So our president's meetings are always set up as a meeting, whereas the TMN Tuesdays are set up as a webinar. So if your chapter, because there are passwords and things associated with these regional accounts, if your chapter does not have regional WebEx account information, login information, please contact our state office to obtain that. So it's not something we're going to share in a recording here today. But if you need the login information, let us know and we can get that to you. As you know, or may have already heard, over the entire past year, the TMN VMS has been undergoing some updates. All of these updates, to preface that, all of these updates have been happening on the back end. So there's nothing that our Master Naturalist volunteers on the reporting side of the system, there's no changes there yet. So the TMN reporting, getting a little tongue-tied. So for our Master Naturalist volunteers, through the past year, there have been no changes on the reporting that when you log in as a volunteer to report your time, there's no changes there yet. One of the frequently asked questions we get with this update that is coming is, will there be a phone app? And no, there will not be a phone app with this software. So it's just too much for the company to maintain, and there's too much that can go wrong with 2 different kind of operating systems. So there will not be a separate phone app or different phone app, but anyone can report through the browser version on their phone. So that has been and always will be available. For chapter admins, and just to reiterate, for our volunteers, there's been, on the volunteer side of the VMS system, there's been no changes to date. For the chapter admins side, so the people who work in the back end of the system, and it's typically one per chapter that kind of work in the back end of the system, they have seen some changes over the past year. We've been readying the system on the back end, working with the company to ready the system on the back end, and get it ready for a consolidation, and move into the new version of the system. Over the past couple months, during the winter, we've added a rapid training team. So we've kind of expanded our TMN VMS administrative team at the state level, and added a short-term rapid training team. So we have about 6 to 7 additional volunteers from chapters that have joined our team for the time being, and kind of getting ready for what changes are coming with the system. And they will be helping with training chapters, chapter administrators at the local level with the changes, the consolidation, and the move. And then they will also be assisting with the end user, our volunteers, if there are additional trainings that we need to do with our volunteers who are reporting after the system does change. Over the past couple of months and with the new year, you might have heard that we had stopped training requests for VMS admins at the help desk level, but that moratorium has been lifted, and especially in the new year, as some people may be coming into their new role as a VMS administrator. So we have additional trainers helping with training chapter admins at the local level. And that is by request. So you would need to, if your chapter needs training for a new administrator of VMS at your local chapter level, you would need to submit a help desk ticket to set up a time. So one of the changes that we did make with the training this year is that instead of having scheduled trainings, they're all going to be by request, so that that trainer can work directly with your chapter and the people, the administrators at your local chapter level, to answer their questions specifically about things for your chapter's VMS. And then lastly, changes and updates for VMS. We anticipate a testing environment in the next couple to few months, where our VMS admin team and this rapid training team will assist in testing out the version of the system that we will be moving to, and kind of making sure that there's no break fixes that need to happen before it's actually deployed. So we anticipate that to take place over the next couple months. My best guess is we'd be looking at summer for changes that the volunteers might see at their local level. Okay. All right. One of the things we've been helping to do with improving master naturalist reporting. It's a request I began making with chapter presidents last year. I want to continue this request again this year. Just if you, as a chapter leader in your and leaders in your chapter, if you can help improve our master naturalist reporting, and this particularly on maybe some different projects, chapter meetings, and an AT, if your leads for those events can just mention how your members should be reporting their time for that day. An example for today, for you attending and viewing today's meeting, you would report your time as follows. The opportunity you would report to is chapter business. The project category would be chapter and program business administration, president's duties. And in that service description, write that you attended the January Presidents and Advisors meeting with the state office. One of the things that we see, and I'm just going to keep rolling. One of the things that we see in the new year with all of our we tend to see in the new year with chapters, because just beware of some phishing and scam issues. There are bots out there kind of scanning chapter websites or any websites in general, because a lot of organizations change officers in the new year. So this is kind of when we, in the next couple of months, is kind of when we see or hear of some phishing and scam issues that could take place. In the past, these have typically been the gift card scams. Someone in your chapter, a leader, let's say a treasurer in your chapter, their email and name is spoofed by scammers, and they may text or email other people in the chapter because there's some contacts on your chapter website, and they may begin requesting gift cards or bank account access. Or we've also seen these come across as, I need a favor, I need a quick favor scam. And like I mentioned, that these happen through texts and email. So some of the options for chapters, and we have heard that this has happened in some of our chapters, and some of our chapters have almost fallen prey. But you do have some options to think about. Let your chapter members know, as leaders, let your chapter members know that you're never going to ask for money, transactions, gift cards, and things like that through a text message or through email. These are things that you should be doing business through a board meeting and in person. So try to make it your priority to make any business transactions, financial transactions, make it your policy to do that business during business meetings, kind of in face. Try to never do that over email and text, just to separate the issues of the scam versus real life. Some other options for your chapter is to take a look at how much information you're putting on your chapter website. Perhaps put directors' emails list behind a password protected page. Add forms for contacting chapter leadership. And then send out directors' email list to chapter members once in an external email at the beginning of the year. And then I'm certain that other chapters have some other tactics that they've tried as well.
Absolutely. And that password protected page, that's something that our First Call team can help you with, or on our Tech Tuesday that we just mentioned, where you can get an update on how to do that. Moving along, and I'm going to go quick because we're reaching the 1 hour mark. We have multiple different types of TMN merchandise. We have state offered items that has our official TMN logo with their approved trademark and design, offered in bulk with discounts. And then we have local chapter produced items. We've talked about this a couple times now, but it's worth repeating just one more time. They must follow our marketing and brand guidelines that Hannah has shared and will be updating. They must have gotten previous permission to use our TMN brand and logo. Hannah shared all of that information earlier as well. And the email and the form that she mentioned is all a function of producing your local chapter items. At the state level, a common question at this time of year is, where do I get all the stuff? And so there's different categories of stuff. Our curriculum stuff, you can order through the A&M Press office. That is also linked on our website. Their contact information and email address is there. We have both new class bulk ordering options. So if you order 10 or more books, you get those at a 50% discount. There's an order form on our website. I did answer a question in the chat earlier. How do I get books for the fall? There's an opportunity at every annual meeting to pick up your order in bulk from A&M Press, or at the annual meeting. They bring the books with them to the conference. That'll be easy this year because we're in College Station. But it's a way to save on shipping and order all of your books for the following year all at once. That order form will go out in August in preparation for the October annual meeting. And then the other bulk list of items or types of items offered from our state office is our shirts and hats and logoed materials. We offer the majority of those through our AgriLife Learn store. I have the link on the next page for that. Those are stocked in a warehouse. They are typically available if there's a size that's not available. They have a great customer service team that will reach out to me and I will do restocks. I am working on a restock order. I was working on it yesterday and hoping to put that through to have a restock in that store by early March. And then we also occasionally will have a drop ship or a pop-up store, and typically those happen in the fall around the annual meeting. Here's our AgriLife store. I see that Hannah's beat me to the punch and has already dropped the link in the chat for that. And Tina, we are always sourcing new ideas for options. I was never took a class on marketing and merchandising in school. So I am open for ideas. If y'all have some great wares that you're looking for to put the Master Naturalist logo on, send those in to me, to my email address, and I will add those in. A couple of other items that you can use to brand yourself, to market yourself as a Master Naturalist, especially as you're moving into your leadership era here as a chapter president or an advisor. Get a license plate, either personalized or non-personalized. It's a great way to not only show your support of the Master Naturalist program, but literally make support of the Master Naturalist program, as $22 of every plate comes back directly to the program for additional programming and resources. Our obligation, responsibility, stewardship to you as chapter leaders is to provide you with a quarterly report. We report that here in our chapter presidents meeting, and our Q3 report from 2024, we had 722 total new plates sold in the system. If we get to 800, we get our initial deposit back and we start rolling some more. So we're getting really, really close to that. Please help us support getting your new chapter members out there on the roads with their own personalized dragonfly plate. Another great way to show that your long-term support for the Master Naturalist program is through our endowment. This is hosted with A&M Foundation, and it is our long-term endowment that develops funds for future programming for the Master Naturalist program. Again, our responsibility and stewardship to you as chapter leaders. Sorry, my computer keeps dinging and distracting me. But as we report our current totals, and so we're sitting at about $175,000 in that account as we speak. And our request back to you as chapter leaders is to help support and promote this endowment opportunity for individual or chapter gifts, employer gift matching with members of your chapters that may have that opportunity through a current or a previous employer, and then estate planning or memorial gifts for members as they are planning for their future. Okay, I did that one really fast. But Michelle, we've got just a few more questions, and Hannah, we have a few more questions that we always like to cover in our President's Corner. This is an opportunity, if we get a question that's come in once or twice from leaders, we'll put it at this section of the slides to be able to just take a few extra minutes of the hour and answer these. One of the things that comes up quite often as chapters are moving into new projects in the spring and the summer is, what do I do with this contract? So Michelle, what happens when a chapter is entering into a partnership with another organization or gets a grant for $5,000?
So if your has a contract that you've been asked, that you're working with a partner or someone on, sometimes our chapters will have a contract that they requested to be entering into. Through our last bylaws update, contracts over that have a dollar amount to them, anything over $5,000 would need to have review and approval by our state office. And then if it doesn't have money attached to it, it's always good practice to have your advisors review it, and then if there are additional questions, have our state office review it as well when there's not money tied to it. The thing that you need to watch out for is liabilities and different insurance coverages and things. We want to make sure that our chapters aren't signing their lives away or signing things that would put their chapter or the program in danger or in a liable situation. So those are the things we try to look out for on contracts that aren't attached to money. Anything over $5,000 where there is money involved, that would need an extra review as well.
And then another question that we got, Michelle, is the state representative's role on the chapter leadership team. What's the purpose of that role, and what's a regular meeting of chapter representatives, state representatives, excuse me?
So the state reps role is defined in the chapter operating, in the CMOP and the chapter operating handbook. There is a level of that state rep role where we, as a state office, we indicated that we rely on that role as another line of communication to your chapters and your regions. However, we have not been able to utilize that partnership as well as we should be in the past couple of years. Just we're trying to keep up over here. And so I think we had a chapter that had indicated that, the state rep hadn't been involved and really wasn't sure what their role was. We hope that this role will be, it is defined in the COH, but we hope that we can utilize this role more coming up.
Excellent. We have gone over time, but if there are additional questions that you have for current chapter presidents or others that are on the call, feel free to drop those in chat. I know Michelle's got a jet off the call here pretty quick, and I think Hannah does as well. But we'll collect those questions in chat and then roll those into next month's meeting.
Yeah. And you don't have to wait for these meetings to get your questions answered. So
that's true. Send us an email
to us
we can get those. Speaking of next month, our next chapter presidents and advisors meeting will be February 25th. In February, we also have as mentioned, our February 11th TMN Tuesday. We like to have this calendar check as our last slide for y'all today, so that you can make sure that you've got your calendar all set for checking in with us next month. And with that, thank you all so much for joining our first 2025 chapter presidents and advisors meeting. We will have the recording and these slides posted on the website later this afternoon, if not first thing tomorrow. Thank you all.